Hey everybody, it's Miss Jennifer with your art lesson, and we are going to do a mantra artist trading card today. The mantra for this month is feedback is a gift. Accept it. So this is one that I did, and I kind of like it. So it's about somebody saying nice job. And sometimes feedback isn't always positive. But as an artist, I can tell you, I always like to get somebody else's opinion. The first one I did was this one here. The only, and this is actually with art, right? So here's the person doing their drawing in a class or whatever. And the other person gives them some feedback. So feedback is very helpful. And it doesn't always have to be positive, but it does need to be kind. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. I pulled up feedback on the clip art, and they didn't have a whole lot. The best one I saw looks like this. So it just, for those of you who don't like to draw very much, this might be something good for you to do. So it's just two heads talking to each other, and one is holding out a piece of paper. And the other one is shrugging his hands like, what? And this one doesn't look like he likes it very much. But this just gives you an idea of how simple you can make your drawing. It does not have to be complicated like mine are. But that is just a quick idea. Other than that, everything on there is mostly just words. So you're going to have to be creative. So let's go ahead and begin. We are going to use black pen. And you can use a black pen, you can use a Sharpie, or you can use a gel pen. Any of these will work. The main thing that when you're working with pen, usually you want to start off with pencil, and that's what we will do. And if you're working with ink, you got to be careful not to smear it. See how I smeared that? So depending on the type of pen, that one probably won't smear, and this one probably won't smear. But I do like drawing with gel pens, but they will smear. So be careful. All right, and the reason we're using pen is we're just going to try something a little bit different. And let's go ahead and do art one. And because I like that one. Oh, and I don't have my one with the words on it. Now, you can write these words yourself. Now, I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. I don't know if I've done that on a video yet. Let me move this paper out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, is that better? Okay. Now, I'm just going to draw an outline. I will put the mantra link to these mantra cards. And the document, if you print it out, should give you the correct size. But sometimes those things get a little bit wonky. So I'm going to give you a backup plan. So we're just going to write, and we're going to try to write it the same size so it will fit. Feedback is a gift. Now, if you are not good at writing small, get somebody to help you, because you do want these to be readable. And then this one here is accept it. So accept it means, listen to it, people, when they give you feedback. Like when someone says, you look really nice today, listen to that. Own that. Thank them and move on. Okay. Conversely, if they say, I don't know if those two things go together, you might want to listen to that too. All right. So now we have our feedback is a gift. And I'm going to draw a head right here. Now remember how we draw our head with just an oval. Now that's going to work. If it's sideways like this, I got to think about that skull that's underneath. So I'm going to kind of give it like this. You see how it comes a little bit wider in the back for the neck. And there you go. And so this person needs a nose and a mouth. And we'll make them happy. We're going to be nice today. We're not going to do any mean feedback. No way. And we can do whatever hair we want. So maybe this time I'm going to make this one me. Oh, and you know what? I always forget this. If it's me, I'm going to need some glasses. But when you draw someone with glasses, what you want to do is draw everything and draw the glasses left. So this will be me, and then we'll put the student back here. So this time it's going to be a guy, just because I want to change it up. Now, guys usually have broad shoulders, narrow hips, and we don't have to make it perfect, right? He's just going to be standing here. He finishes work. And I'm changing it up a little bit. And here's this amazing artwork here. Now see, because his artwork is supposed to be level with him, I gotta make this come down where his feet are. We haven't really talked a whole lot about how to create the illusion of space, but if his standing here and this is right next to him, it's got to also be down here. And these back ones can be a little bit higher. And then we do have to have the back of the room, and a lot of people forget about that too. And then for the eyes, we can go ahead and draw those in. And we can give a big smile. And maybe this guy's going to have, he's going to have a fro. There we go. Okay, what do you think? Now we got to give him some artwork in there. Now, I'm just going to make like a big pow. So it can be, we don't want to try to draw something really small because it's not going to show up on this little card. And there we go. And maybe I'm going to make these shirt come down long, because that's the way guys wear shirts today. And who can tell me what we're going to do next? Very good. We're going to grab our pen. Now, this is a fine point Sharpie, which will, let's take a look at the difference. This one will give you this line. So it's a little bit thick. It's not very thick, but notice this one is a little bit thinner. And let's see what about this one. That one's about the same as this. So the thinnest one would be this. So I'm going to give it a try. All right, so now I'm just going to begin outlining my shapes. And at any point, if I want to change it up a little bit, I can, because I can erase. And I don't have to draw his head. I can just draw his hair. And I can go ahead and add texture. Now, texture is the way things feel or look like they would feel. So, he has curly froze, so there you go. Curly fro, boom. Easy peasy. And this is where using a skinny tip is helpful because it's so small. My drawing is small. Now, if you do something like the first one I showed you, then you don't need to worry so much about it being small. And it's okay either way. The main thing is, and I was looking this up, what's the difference between graphic design and illustration? Well, illustration is usually trying to illuminate an art concept, like a story. Whereas a graphic design is more about conveying information, and it may be commercial information or important information, like this way for your coronavirus vaccine. But a lot of times it's all of the above. People need to have a lot of information these days because there's so much going on. All right, now this is going to be tough because if I make him brown, which is my plan, I got to make sure that I have some contrast behind his arm. So I'm going to kind of go like this. And then I'll make this. So just to stop the confusion, do you see how I cleared that space behind his hand? And if you put too much going on in the same spot, it's going to be hard to see visually what you're trying to show. So you can at any point go, it's a little busy right there. Let me clear this up. Because it is a visual form of communication, and we're trying to communicate something, especially on these when we're doing our mantras. Can you think of any times where your feedback wasn't really what you wanted to hear, but later on you were glad somebody told you? I'll tell you a good example. I'm a little bit messy. I know you find that hard to believe, but I'm a messy artist. And when I was in college, I would always get paint all over my face, or what do you call it? Graphite or whatever I was working with. And most people would never say a word. And I'd walk around to my regular classes, my not art classes, with stuff all over my face. Oh, I forgot to give her a word bubble. So I got plenty of room right here for her word bubble. Now, I could put the word bubble here, but I wouldn't have as much room to write inside the word bubble. Anyway, so I'd go to my other classes. You know, a little later, I'd drop in the bathroom and wash my hands. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been walking with this all over my face. And then finally I had a teacher, and he'd always be like, hey, you got stuff all over your face. So I was really glad that he would tell me that, because most people would not. Okay, what do you think? This is called inking, for those of you who don't remember. And I'm going to go ahead and draw those glasses here. And I'm going to say, beautiful work. What do you think? Pretty good, huh? Now, a lot of times I buy these erasers, and you can get a whole pack of them at the dollar store, because I like that pointy tip. And my students like these too. So I want to make sure that my ink is dry here, because I have done it many times, because I always want to rush. I don't wait for the ink to dry. Next thing you know, I got it smeared all over the page. So you do want to be careful. All right, it looks like I missed a spot. Is that fine? Yes, it's fine, because all I got to do is go in here. I can see exactly where it's supposed to be. And we're going to talk a little bit about value and the way you can make value with a pen. Now, I have kind of white hair because I'm a little bit old, so I don't want to put a lot of value in the hair. In other words, it needs to stay light if it's going to look like me. Now, you see his hair is dark. And there we go. Now, what I could do is give myself a black shirt, but I'm not sure what I want to do. What I want to do for sure is I'm going to go ahead and try to give him some darker skin. Now, look at this one, how I did it. This is called stippling. So I wanted to make a dark skin and a light skin, two people together. And this one is a girl, and this one has on a sweater, and this one has on a blouse. So, but this is called stippling. And when you do stippling, watch this. The closer you put the dots together, the darker it will be. So if you want it to be very dark but not quite black, you can just do dots. Now, it does take some time, but this is always a fun technique. Another one is this one, and this is called hatching, and that's where I put a shadow down here by putting lines. And you can also use crosshatching like this. Or you can color it in solid black. So in between these different ways, we're going to add some lights and darks to this drawing. So one way, if you have a lot of finesse, which I do, because I practiced for years, you can use a pen lightly like this. But this is a little bit hard. If you're going to do it, you need to practice. But I think I'm going to try it for his skin, because it's not really black, but I do want it to be dark. Ooh. Now, I got to make sure that I don't cover up the eyes or the mouth, because that's a nice, pretty toothy smile. And don't forget your neck. Wow. See? Easy peasy. Now, what can I do? I need to leave this one white. I'm going to color the outside of this dark. Now, some people, they have in mind what their drawing's going to look like from the very beginning, which I did, but I didn't really know how I was going to color it. But this is how I'm going to color it. And this is, when you only have a pen and you're not using colors and it's all black and white, you just have to use different grades of value. Value is the use of lights and darks. So it's challenging, but if you want to see some beautiful use of lights and darks, you can look at some woodcuts from the Northern Renaissance by Albrecht Dürer. Oh my gosh, they're so amazing. There are actually some of those in the Chrysler Museum here in Norfolk. Not always on display, but they do have some. And he's one of my favorite draftsmen, which means he draws really, really well. Okay. Now this should be darker than his arm, so his arm will still show up. How's that? Okay, and now I can use this one about the same color as his arm, a little bit lighter than the rest. And as long as I get rid of all the white, it's going to be a nice dark color here. And so now that artwork really shows up. He shows up and the artwork shows up. Now, I'm going to add some value to the floor because I actually am white. So to make some contrast, and if I color this in black, this shirt, then I will cover up my accept it. So I'm just going to, maybe let's do some hatching, which is where you just put lines next to each other. And they don't have to be perfect, right? It's just going to blend optically to make that surface a different shade than the one next to it. And the truth is, the closer you put your lines, the darker it will be. I want to try to stay consistent with the distance apart of my lines. So that the whole ground will be the same shade. And you see I've got practice. You know, I start and stop very right on time. But that just comes from drawing a lot. Which I know a lot of y'all, you're home, you're not going to school, so you're missing out on some of this practice using your hands. But never fear, you can do it on your own. And this is just fun to learn how to do. And one more thing, I think I could put some polka dots on my clothes just to make it have a little more whimsy. Now, remember, polka dots are a pattern, so I want to make them systematic. So I'll just go straight across here. Patterns are a lot of fun. We've been working on those in class this week. And there you go. We have a nice little mantra card. We have meaning to it, and we have a good composition. The only thing that maybe I could do is I'm going to go ahead and give her a dark collar. So I can have some dark here down at the bottom, because I don't have any dark down here, and I have a lot up here. So maybe this little bit right here would be helpful. And maybe I'll make it a little bit darker in this corner. And I think that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed making this mantra card with me today, and you have a beautiful, beautiful week. Bye now.